mom at a memory care facility. Since my first video, we have had to move her to a new place, as the old one was not capable of the level of care she required. I only wish that I had taken her out of there sooner. 2018 was a very rough year for her and for me. My mother's mother had dementia, but I was a preteen when that happened, so I only know what I saw and experienced from being around her. I didn't know all of the details of her care, and I, of course, was not privy to those discussions and decisions. But now I am 100% responsible for my mother's care, and so have to deal with this burden of deciding where she should live. With my grandmother, it seemingly happened overnight because I didn't see her every week like I do with my mom. Yet I still keep underestimating how bad she had gotten. People with dementia can seem to be perfectly fine for the first few moments you talk to them. It's often only after spending more time with the sufferer that it becomes obvious something is seriously wrong. Like when this facility said that mom was at a level 2 and not a level 1, I was shocked. But people at level 1 don't forget their kids' names, they don't wander out of the building and get lost, they don't cut themselves out of their clothes with scissors because they forgot how to get undressed. These are all things that mom does. The place is laid out in quadrants, so once someone's dementia gets worse, they move them over to building 3, which is level 3, and then level 4, or building 4, is essentially a hospice. I do like that everything she needs, including hospice and nursing care, is all here in this one place. Moving my terminally ill father from place to place while he was dying and in pain was no fun, to say the least. The place Mom was at before was pretty terrible. It was only what is called assisted living, which means that a driver would take them shopping once a week, meals were provided, for an extra fee, of course, etc. But other than that, there really wasn't any care. Mom wasn't drinking water, so she would get dehydrated and kept falling. At points, she couldn't even speak. This place did little to nothing to help. A third-party company came in and provided some extra things, like giving her meds, because I only found out by looking in her med box that she had been skipping most of her doses and couldn't remember. But when I was there one day, one of these orderlies tried to give her Parkinson's med at 4:30 p.m. when she's supposed to have it at 7 p.m., just because he was lazy and didn't want to come back. As soon as I saw that, I realized it was time to go, and then I started getting calls about her falling. I took her to the ER, and nothing was out of the ordinary. Then I put it together that she wasn't getting her meds or enough food and water. At this new place, I haven't received any emergency calls like that. That's why she's in a place like this, so I can sleep at night, knowing she's being taken care of. I also like how clean it is here, and how they make sure the residents are always neat and clean. Often the first thing I smelled at the old place was human urine, and one time I walked in there and human waste was smeared on the walls. That should have been a red flag. But how would I know? This was my first time doing this. But even that was not nearly as bad as some of the places I looked at this last winter. At some of them, memory care residents are treated like prisoners. It was like what I would expect from a state-run insane asylum for indigents, and not a private facility that costs thousands of dollars a month to live in. I felt so badly for them. My dominant thought while performing this depressing shopping trip was, not me. Oh no, not me, not ever. I agree with David Benatar that death is a harm, but life as a simpleton who can't even use the bathroom without help, and who can't remember his or her own name, is worse than death. All of these people should have had the option of a graceful exit. There is no dignity, no grace to be found here, despite it being the best home that I toured. So why am I an antinatalist? Because it was not fair that my mother's mother doomed her to this fate before she even went through it. It was wrong for my mother to put this burden of care onto me before she knew that she would share her mother's fate. And it would be wrong for me to condemn another person to the suffering of life and a prolonged, excruciatingly depressing, and wastefully drawn-out death in a nursing home. Breeders know that these places exist, just as they know that slaughterhouses exist, and yet they slurp down their meat with glee and cradle their newborn infants as if there is no tomorrow, where that child will become a wrinkled, crippled, confused, worn-out husk of themselves without a memory, without dignity, and without their long-dead parents to help them through it. So the burden is placed on the next generation, and the next, and then the next, without anyone saying, stop. The antinatalist is simply the one who will say, stop. And that's why I am one.